Story 1. The light coming from my closet. When I was a child, we moved a lot. We were poor, so my parents usually rented the cheapest houses they could find. I was probably 9 or 10 when we moved into a beautiful old house from the early 1900s. The house was in a rough neighborhood, but believe me, that was far from the worst part of this story. It happened on one of the first nights after we moved in. I remember waking up and feeling an icy cold. It was very strange because it was the middle of summer outside. Besides, we didn't have air conditioning and I wasn't allowed to open the windows at night. Then I noticed a soft blue light coming from my closet, so I turned to look. There, in my open closet, sitting on some boxes, was a woman about 30 years old. She was just sitting there and crying. I could barely hear her, but what struck me most was that she was blue too, just like the light coming from the closet. I remember sitting up, staring at her, and asking what was wrong. She stopped, looked at me in shock, and after a few seconds she disappeared. Maybe she didn't expect me to wake up or to speak to her. Either way, that wasn't the last time I saw her, but I was never afraid of her. When I turned 12, we moved. We didn't live there long. For many years, my mom didn't tell us why the rent was so low. It turned out there had been a robbery there in which a young woman and her mother were killed. It seems my parents had encountered something unexplained too. Otherwise, why would we have left so quickly? The second story, a vicious growl. These scary events happened to me 3 years ago. At the time, I was living in a newly built house. Actually, an apartment. The building was in San Antonio, Texas. The building itself and the neighbors were incredibly nice. There were none of the usual cliches that suggest a haunted place. Back then, I was serving in the army and therefore far from family and friends. I didn't even have any pets. One night, I was lying in bed and felt a medium-sized dog jump onto the edge of the mattress. At least it looked like a dog. It definitely had 4 legs. I froze immediately because I knew there were no dogs in my apartment. This thing began to move slowly toward me. With every step, I felt the mattress tighten. When it reached my chest, I realized it was trying to settle down to my left. Then there was a thin, vicious growl right by my ear, and there was no one next to me. I don't know why, but I gathered all my willpower and pretended I wasn't scared at all. After a while, I fell asleep. Nothing like that has happened since. I think it was because of my reaction. If I'd shown how terrified I was, it would have kept coming back. In any case, it was a strange and frightening experience. Third story, you must not touch him. When I was 8, my family moved from urban South Florida to a very small town in North Florida. The place was straight out of a Goosebumps book. Over the 15 years since then, a lot of strange things happened. But the strangest was when my sister returned to our parents' house. Her husband had been sent to Afghanistan, so she was left alone with her newborn son. Not wanting to raise the baby all alone in a trailer in the woods, she moved back in with our parents for a while. At first, it started with thumps. Something kept hitting the headboard of her bed. Once she woke up feeling like something was trying to tickle her. At first, it didn't really bother my sister. That changed when one night she woke our mother with a scream. My sister was about 30 then, not a little girl. When Mom ran into her room, she saw the entire goddamn double bed rocking and shaking, very, very violently, up and down, side to side, like a boat on a powerful current. But both Mom and my sister had seen a lot in their lives, so they weathered it. Later that night, my sister was breastfeeding the baby when something grabbed her ponytail and started jerking her head. Mom came running again, and seeing what was happening, spoke in a very stern voice. "I understand you want to have fun, but there is a very small baby in this room. He wasn't here before, so I understand your curiosity, but I forbid you to touch the child. You may look, you may even stay. You were here before us, but I swear to God, you must not touch him." After that, it stopped, and there were no more incidents.